All right. So welcome, everyone. Good morning. Hopefully you're just slowly waking up into today. We're going to start on our back a little bit different. So instead of having legs long or knees butterfly, bring your legs into a slight internal rotation. So once you've laid down onto your back, bring your feet wide and just drop your knees in towards center. Now, if this pulls at all into the inner line of your knees, you can always take your feet in a little bit closer. If you want a deeper opening of your hip joint, just take your feet wider and then allow your knees to drop in. Hands, I always like to rest hands onto my belly in this shape, but you're welcome to take them down beside you, cactus overhead. There's really no recipe for where to place your hands. And then bring your awareness to the space beneath your lower back. And notice if you have an arc of your lower back, if there's quite a bit of space between your body and the ground, imagine that you're trying to squish out that air underneath you. Press your belly button to your spine. And then feel like you're pulling your hip bones up towards your bottom two ribs. And so this will just give you more space into your lower back. Today's practice is really going to focus on the lengthening of the lumbar spine and opening of the hips and how those two work together. And so a lot of the time when we're swaying into our low back, we're actually causing a lot of tension into the hips. And so just continue to keep a bit of that activation of the core so that your lower back is drawing towards the ground. Okay. Allow your eyes to close. Just take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill all the way up. And exhale softly out. Let the air escape your lips. And take another inhale breath, just naturally. Not needing to shift or change the breath. Just simply following along as you exhale. Notice the ease from which the breath moves. The majority of your day, you're not even paying attention to this life-giving movement of your body. That it just moves on its own certain pace. And so to start off practice today is just to notice how incredible it is to breathe. The mechanism of breathing is incredible. And despite everything that might be going on currently in your life, you offer yourself gratitude for this breath, that you're given an opportunity to take another breath, to try again, to reset, to feel, to live. Especially in this practice, it doesn't matter about depth. The focus is on presence. Can you be here in your body and find gratitude for whatever that moment holds? And this represents my second favorite niyama of Santosha, which roughly translates to contentment. And a path to contentment is often through gratitude. You can leave your hands here. You can always take them to a different place for this next movement. Keep your feet wide and just gently start to drop your knees over to the right, back up through center, and then over to the left. Notice how this feels in your hips, especially if there is a little bit of restriction in that last pose. This should feel like a cool rinsing, release of that tension. And then the next time that your knees come up through center, heel toe your feet a little closer together and bring your knees in towards your chest. Hands can land on top of your knees or shins. Now, if you want, just to massage up the low back, you can rock side to side or play with making circles with your thighs glued together. So you can draw your knees away from your body, over to either side and close in. Notice how as you move, it's almost like you're ironing out any crinkles in the lower back, sacrum, maybe even sides of your glutes. The next time you come back through center, if you're taking circles, switch directions. No urgency to be anywhere. That rushing often pulls us out of contentment because we're always looking ahead. And so in this practice, just trying your best to stay with the breath, and breath lives in your present moment. So it's a really good anchor to contentment. The next time that you come back through center, extend your toes up towards the sky, straighten out your legs, reach your arms up towards the ceiling as well, just above your shoulders. And just slowly start to bring some movement in the fingertips and toes. You know, roll out your ankles and wrists. You can reach, flex, point, yogi's choice. And then start to bend your knees towards the side of your rib cage, and hands will start to reach for outside or inside edges of your feet or even ankles. If you want a more modified variation, just reach for the tops of your shins and allow your heels to drop down to the backs of your legs. Again, always optional to move in happy baby. It might feel a little sticky this morning, so just moving really slowly if you are, to explore different muscles. Just become aware of how your hips are feeling. If you need longer here, of course, you're always welcome to take it in this pose or any subsequent poses. Otherwise, you can start to bring your hands to your shins again and then bring your knees back through center. Lengthen out, slowly release the soles of your feet down to the ground. Start to reach your arms overhead, extend your legs long. Take a full belly breath in and exhale, just soften into this lengthened shape. Walk your heels to the bottom right corner of your mat, and then start to walk your hands and shoulders to the top right corner for Banana Asana. You can always cross either ankle over top. You can have your hands connected or reach for opposite elbows, or even just keep the arms wide. Focus on sending your breath to the left side of your rib cage. Feeling the expansion from your left armpit all the way down towards your left hip. And then a gentle rinse back up as you exhale. Take 3 more breaths on this side. With nothing to do, nowhere to be, but just to simply cultivate some gratitude for this breath. Start to bring your hands and shoulders back through center. Release your feet. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a giant hug. You can even draw your forehead up to your knees. And then once again, extend out. Feet can plant and slide down your mat. Take a big good morning stretch. And then as you exhale, start to make your way over to the left side of your mat. Heels walk to the bottom left corner. Hands, maybe even shoulders, walk towards the top left corner. Feel into that lengthening of your right hip and find a depth that allows you to stay present. It's a contentedness of feeling the opening of the body without having to get anywhere. There's no finish line within your practice, and this is true for life off the mat. We're always looking to do more, to get bigger, to be better, but there's really no finish line. And often looking ahead takes away the joy of what's available where you are. Just take 2 more breaths and notice how beautiful it is to be present with your inhales and exhales. Gently walk yourself back through to center. One final time, bring your knees in towards your chest, hands behind the backs of your knees. Now you can roll to either side to press up to tabletop, or you're welcome to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. So as long as this feels okay for your back, you can take as many rocks and rolls as you need until you cross over the ankles and meet into tabletop. All right. On your inhale breath, drop your belly down, lift your heart forward and chin slightly tips up. As you exhale, press into the earth, curl and round your spine. Start to take your gaze to your belly button. Inhale, breath, lower through the upper body, cow pose. And exhale, start to raise the back of the body up towards the ceiling. Just take 2 more breaths, just like that. Opening up into flexion and extension of the spine. And then eventually make your way into child's pose, walking your knees wide, big toes to touch. Sit your hips back towards your heels and just gather your hands forward. Now you can make this a more active child's pose by pressing your fingers into the earth and allowing your elbows to float away from your mat. Play with sliding your shoulders down your back, away from your ears. Or bring your attention to your hips and just allow your hips to rest a little heavier towards your heels. Can you feel your breath expand out to the left and to the right? And for just a moment, can that be enough? Can you embrace this gift of practicing alongside your breath? All right, so I should have mentioned this at the start of practice. Don't worry, it's nothing to worry about. If you have your video at the top of your mat, you might want to bring it to the left side of your mat. So from your child's pose, you can just slowly start to peel back up to tabletop. Those of you that don't have to move your screen, you can just start to take your hips side to side or forward or back. If you are moving your screen, you can just gently start to bring it. So you want it so it's to the left of you, because we're going to mostly be facing that direction today. So I find that it's just a little bit easier when it's on that side. If you need extra movement, those of you who just moved your screen, you're welcome to add in a couple more breaths. And then starting to open up through the side body, tuck your right toes under and then slide your right toes towards the back of your mat. So your foot is still connected. You'll pivot open to a modified side plank. Start to turn open to the right and then circle your right arm back and up and then reach your right fingertips over and linger here for 1 full breath. When you exhale, bring your right hand to your mat and meet back into tabletop. Right knee slides in. Tuck your left toes under, slide your left heel back, and then pivot open to the left side of your mat. Circle your left fingertips to the back and up, and reach your fingertips forward as though you're trying to create more space down your side body. And then on your exhale, come back through to center. Let's take 3 more of those to each side, but 1 breath per movement. Pivot open to your right. Inhale, sweep your right fingertips to the back of the mat and up. And exhale, reach your fingertips forward and down back to tabletop. Inhale, breath, pivot open to the left. Start to reach your hand back and up. And exhale, draw it forward and down to tabletop. Get 2 more to each side. As you circle the arm, squeeze your glutes. Try to send your hips ahead of your body. You'll get more of an opening into the front and sides of your hips. Almost like you're pressing your left hip forward. Let's take 1 more to each side, really slowing this down. No rush into our next poses. When you finish out this last round facing the left side, come back down through tabletop. Tuck your toes under and then float your hips all the way up, downward facing dog. The first time that you've been in down dog this morning, you can start to pedal out your feet. Sometimes as I bend one knee, I like to drop that same armpit towards the center of the mat to open up through the shoulders. Allow your head to hang heavy. And then eventually find yourself in stillness and downward facing dog. Walk your feet wider so your feet come to the edges of your mat, and then look at your hands. Take your fingertips where the heels of your hands were. So you're walking your hands about 1 handprint in closer to your body. You can keep a soft bend into your knees and just start to shift your hips left and right. Now you can continue just side to side, or you can start to draw a figure 8 pattern with your sacrum. And so like that infinity symbol. The next time you come back through center, pause, walk your hands in 1 hand print closer again. So you're moving more towards a wide-legged forward fold, and just start to, once again, rock your hips side to side or create a figure 8. Let's do that 1 more time. Take a pause, walk your hands in closer. You can bend as much as you need into your knees. Just try to find some fluidity through your lower back. And then pause at center. Walk your hands so they land underneath your shoulders. You can take a bend into your knees. Turn your toes out, turn your heels in, and just start to sink your hips down towards the ground. Okay, yogi squat. Now, if this feels a little bit too low this morning, keep your hips lifted, forearms support you onto your thighs. Your hands can land through heart center. Humble your chin towards your chest. And then same feeling as we had earlier when we were pressing the lower back into the ground, lengthening out the entire spine. Allow your sits bones to draw heavier towards the ground. And then feel like you're lengthening all the way up towards the crown of your head. Like somebody has a string attached to the top of your head and they're just gently pulling you to expand and to reach. Let's take 1 more full breath here. And then as you exhale, you can release your hands towards the ground. Pick up your hips into a fold. Turn your toes towards the top of your mat. You should be at the back of your mat. Take a deep bend into your knees. Press your right hand either onto the ground, or you can always take your right hand onto a block. As you inhale, straighten out your left leg, reach your left fingertips high, bend deeper into your right knee to twist. As you exhale, bend both knees and fold through center. Inhale, breath, straighten out your right leg, twist open to the right, bend deeper into your left knee. And exhale to fold. Inhale, breath to halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Walk your hands forward all the way towards plank. Hips line up with the rest of your body. Optional to lower the knees. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, ripple through the spine, downward facing dog. Looking forward, step or hop your way towards the top of your mat. Take an inhale breath to halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, inhale, rest, sweep your arms all the way up. And exhale, gather your hands through heart center. If you need extra balance in these next poses, you can always come closer to a wall or place your hand onto an object. Otherwise, find a spot in front of you that's not moving. And just allow your gaze to focus onto that spot. Shift your weight into your right foot. Turn your left knee out to the side and bring the sole of your left foot to the inside of your right ankle or calf, or you can even use your left hand to guide your foot up towards your shin for tree pose. Balance is always a little sticky in the morning just because we haven't quite brought ourselves in line with our physical body. So know that it's okay to have some shifts here, to let go of the perfection of your practice. And can you find the ability to be both really strong and focused and also soft and fluid? Start to draw your left knee forward and then interlace your hands on top of your shin or even underneath your hamstring. Hug your knee in towards your left armpit. Lift out of your right hip like you could grow just a little bit taller. And then gently, gently, gently step back to a crescent lunge. So left toe step towards the back of your mat. Inhale, breath, reach your arms up just for a moment. Beautiful. As you exhale, slowly lower your back knee to your mat. Now, if that starts to pull into your back knee, just take your hands down first and then lower your knee down and bring hands back up. Press into your front foot, shift your weight back. Feel like your hip bones pull up towards your bottom two ribs. Take a full breath in. And then as you exhale, gently release your hands down to frame your front foot. Send your hips back, half splits. Turn your front toes up towards the ceiling. Try to keep your back hip over top of your knee. So instead of your hip towards the heel, that you have that 90-degree angle. All right, lengthen out your spine. Feel like you're drawing your collarbones up towards the top of your mat. Use your left fingertips on the ground or a block to support you. And as you inhale, twist to the right. Slide your right hand up towards your right hip or reach your right fingertips all the way up. And then as you exhale, gently release your right hand back down. Bend into your front knee, tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Turn and pivot yourself to the left. Start to walk your hands towards the left side of your mat. All 10 toes point towards the long edge, and then bend into your back knee. So left knee bends, right leg stays straight. Keep your hips lifted this time. So hips are above your knee. You can stay up on fingertips, or you can play with some strength, one or both hands to heart center, or even arms reach out like an airplane. Create a flat back so that your belly button is drawing in towards your spine. Beautiful. And then gently release your hands down. Turn and pivot yourself all the way towards the top of your mat. Slide your back foot about a third of the way up, pyramid. Straighten out both legs and fold. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. Lengthen out your spine. Start to draw your collarbones to the top of your mat. Left hand can stay on the ground or on a block. Twist open to the right, just like you did in side splits. Right hand slides up towards your low back, elbow points up towards the ceiling, or optional to start to reach your right fingertips up. Press your inner thighs together. This will pull your right hip back so your hips are square. Beautiful. As you exhale, gently release your right hand down, bend into both knees and step to a fold at the top of your mat. Take an inhale breath, halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, inhale, breath, sweep your arms all the way up. And exhale, bring your hands down through heart center. Close down your eyes. Notice how your heartbeat has started to increase, how your breath has deepened to start to match this moment and what you need of your physical body within this practice. Slowly start to shift your weight over into your left foot. Turn your right knee out to the side. Sole of your right foot lands to the inside of your right ankle. Now you can start to draw your right heel up to the inside of your calf or even thigh, but just make sure that you're not pressing onto your knee joint. Notice if you're finding yourself really rigid and unflexible in this pose, not in the muscle tissues that you're unflexible, but if you're trying to force or control. Okay. A big aspect of Santosha or contentment is drawing upon the lessons of last week of full surrender, of just allowing things to be, laughing when you fall out, coming back in. Bring your right knee forward and then start to interlace your hands on top of your shin or behind your hamstring. Bring your right knee in towards your right shoulder. One more big inhale breath. As you exhale, step your right toes all the way back into your high lunge. And then however you need to get there, start to lower your back knee until it lands onto your mat. Back toes can stay tucked or untucked. Linger here for just a couple of breaths, activating through your front foot. So you're shifting the weight back, really opening up through hip flexors and quads. Take one more full breath in, and then exhale, release your hands down to half splits. Send your hips back, turn your front toes up, and then fold. Start to lengthen out your spine, reach the crown of your head forward, add in a twist, left hand comes up towards your left hip or reaches all the way up to the sky. In any of these poses where your one hand feels like it's reaching for the ground, you can always take it onto a prop, like a stack of books or a block. You squeeze your inner thighs. And then as you exhale, gently release your left hand down, bend into your front knee. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Variation of Skandasana, start to pivot to the right side of your mat, sorry. Bend into your back knee, so right knee will be bent, left leg is straight. Fingertips can help to support you here and play with some depth. Or one or both hands to heart center, reaching out if you want more strength. Notice if you've lost connection to the breath. Can you just simply exhale out? The inhale will naturally come. And then walk your hands along the edge of your mat to the top of your mat again. Slide your back foot about a third of the way up and straighten out both legs to fold. Take one full breath with a rounded spine. And then start to lengthen out your spine. Right fingertips walk towards the top right corner of your mat or onto a block, and then left hand slides up towards your left hip or reaches all the way up towards the sky. Slide your shoulder blades together to create that space across your heart. This pose is really great for the muscles around IT band. So really focus on bringing your left hip back, pulling your right hip forward. And then as you exhale, release your left hand down and step to a fold at the top of your mat. Take an inhale breath to halfway lift and lengthen, and exhale to fold. Turn your toes out, sink your hips down, yogi squat. You know, this is gonna be a little bit different. This is actually for the lower back. It's one of my favorite variations. Instead of having a tall spine, just start to drape yourself forward, like you're folding into the space between your thighs. So you want that rounded spine. Hands can just land on the ground in any variation. Allow your head to hang heavy. And even in this shape, you can just allow your fingertips to drape. So you're more of a goddess squat if your hips don't want to go all the way down today. And you can always slightly sway side to side to move more weight into your right foot and then your left. But you should feel a really beautiful opening into either the lumbar spine, lower back, or thoracic spine, mid-back. Send your breath into whatever area feels sticky alongside the spine and expand into it on your inhale. And then on your exhale, try to release even just a tiny bit of the tension that you're holding. Just take 2 more breaths. Plant your hands so they're just about underneath your shoulders. Pick up your hips, straightening out your legs. Turn your toes to face the top of your mat. Plant your right hand into the middle of your mat. Bend into your right knee. As you inhale, twist open to the left. Keep your left leg straight. As you exhale, bend both knees back through center. Left hand replaces right. Inhale, straighten out your right leg. Twist open to the other side. And exhale to fold. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Bend into your knees. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Take a big full body stretch. And then exhale, gather your hands through heart center. Shift your weight into your right foot. Start to pick up your left knee to hip height and then hug your left knee in. Hands interlace on top of your shin. Give yourself just 1 inhale breath to squeeze your knee in towards your chest, and then exhale, step back to your high lunge. Left toe step towards the back of your mat. Inhale, reach your arms up. Okay, beautiful. As you exhale, start to lower your back knee down with or without the use of your hands here into a monkey lunge. Take a full breath in, maybe even a heart opener. You can start to lean back. As you exhale, release your hands down, half splits. Send your hips back. Inhale, breath, twist open in your half splits. Take your right hand towards your right hip or up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release your right hand down. Bend back into your front knee. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Inhale, walk over to the left, Skandasana. Optional, keep your hips lifted or lower your hips down. Take 1 full breath in Skandasana. So we're moving through that same series with a little bit of a different twist. Okay. Press into your hands, pick up your hips, turn and pivot towards the back of your mat. And then on your inhale, lift all the way up into your high lunge. Okay. Start to bend into your back knee. You're gonna bring your right knee in towards your chest, standing into your left leg, just as we started the first side of this. So you can always take a couple steps if you need, or you can take 1 giant one. Hug your knee in for a full breath in. And exhale, step back to where you just were, high lunge. Exhale, lower your right knee down towards the ground. Take a full breath in, maybe even lean back, slight opening through the heart. Exhale, half splits, hands come down, hips pull back. Inhale, breath, twist in your half splits, left hand towards your left hip. Bring your gaze up. Exhale, release your hands down, bend into your front knee. Tuck your back toes. On your inhale, walk to the right side of your mat, Skandasana. Bend into your right knee. Option, keep your hips lifted or lower them down. Stay for 1 full breath. So just creating a little bit of a faster sequence. On your next inhale breath, press into your hands, turn and pivot to the top of your mat. And as you exhale, meet into your low runner's lunge. Inhale, breath, lift your hands up high, crescent lunge. And then bend into your back knee and bring your left knee in towards your chest, as best as you can without falling over. Hug it in really, really tight and then gently release your foot down. Mountain pose, palms down beside your body. Roll your shoulders once or twice. Allow yourself to just be in this space of the pause. To just breathe, especially if that last round felt fast or uncoordinated or sticky. We're gonna go through that one more time and add in a couple of extra pieces, but the main ingredients are gonna stay the same. Move with your own breath, whether you're ahead or behind of my cues, and we'll all create this connected flow with our own bodies together. Inhale, breath, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, a little different, forward fold. Let that go. Inhale to halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Plant your hands, step your toes back, high plank. Take a full breath in. Exhale, ripple through your spine, downward facing dog. Walk your big toes together to touch. Inhale, breath, sweep your right heel high, bend into your right knee, stack into your hip. On your next inhale breath, lift your left heel away from the ground. Exhale, high lunge. Step your right foot through your hands. Use your inhale breath to rise up. Exhale, bend into your back knee, lower to the earth. Take an inhale to linger in your monkey lunge. And then exhale, send your hips back, half splits. Inhale, breath, twist open, right hand pulls up towards right hip or the ceiling. Exhale, release your right hand down, bend into your front knee. Inhale, start to move to Santosha. Turn and pivot your toes to the left side of your mat. Bend into your left knee. Take one full breath. Start to move to the back of your mat again. Press into your hands. Pick up your hips. Turn and pivot your toes. All right, downward facing dog. Three-legged dog. Press into your hands. Left foot sweeps back behind you. Bend into your left knee. Stack into your hip. Peel your side body open. As you exhale, step your left foot through high lunge. Use your inhale breath to rise tall. Exhale, lower your back knee towards the ground. Inhale, breath, lean back, send your hips forward, and then exhale to half splits. Hands root to your mat, send your hips back. Inhale, twist in your half splits, left hand towards your hip, or reaches all the way up like you're stretching open. Exhale, bring your hand down, move towards Santosha. Turn and pivot to the right side of your mat. Hold for one full breath. Hips can be high or low, always optional to add in any arm variation. And then gently you can release your left hand down. Pick up your hips, turn and pivot to the top of your mat. All right, one more time, three-legged dog. Sweep your right toes all the way up. Bend into your right knee, stack into your hip. As you exhale, gently step through high lunge. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale to lower your back knee towards the ground. Inhale, maybe a heart opener, hold as you are. Exhale to half splits, send your hips back. Inhale, breath, twist open in your half splits. Exhale, gently release your right hand down. Shift forward. This is where it's going to change. Tuck your back toes to lift your knee. Turn to the left, wide-legged forward fold. So all 10 toes will point to the side of your mat, and then just allow your body to drape. Once again, finding that movement, shift your hips side to side, or you can take your sacrum and lower back into a figure 8 figure. You can always take a soft bend into your knees. Try to just find some fluidity, even if it's a little sticky. And slowly start to come back into stillness. Plant your left hand down to the center of your mat. As you inhale, twist open to the front, reach your right hand up. And exhale, come back to a fold. One more twist to the other side, right hand plants. Inhale, left fingertips reach up. And exhale, left hand comes back down. Turn and pivot to the back of your mat, three-legged dog. Left foot reaches high to the sky, bend into your left knee, stack into your hip. Exhale, step forward, high lunge. Use your inhale to reach up. Exhale, lower your back knee down. Take an inhale, send your hips forward, stay in your monkey lunge. Exhale, hands to your mat. Send your hips back, half splits. Inhale, twist in your half splits. It should start to feel a little bit easier. Exhale, unwind. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Turn and pivot yourself to the long edge of your mat again. Wide-legged forward fold. Take your heels in just a little bit. So you're setting up for yogi squat. Turn your toes out and sink your hips down. Okay, final round of yogi squat. Walk your right fingertips out in front of your right toes. As you inhale, press into the back of your right arm and reach left fingertips high to twist. As you exhale, gently release your left hand down. Walk your fingertips out and twist to the other side. Like you're reaching up towards the corner of your room. And exhale to gently release. Make your way onto your seat. So for some of you, you may need to pick up your hips and lower onto your knees. For some of you, you can just walk your hands back and lower down. Okay. Keep facing this side of your mat. So hopefully, I gave the correct directions for where to place your screen. Feet wide, and then just gently drop your knees to the left and to the right. Now there's a couple of options for this next shape of shoelace. You can start to straighten out your right leg, keeping your left knee bent, and then you can cross your left knee over top of your right. So the pinky side edge of your left foot comes towards the ground. Optional to roll towards your right hip. So your left hip lifts up, bend your right knee, and then take your left knee back over top of your right. So the idea is that the pinky side edges of your feet are on the ground and knees are stacked. Now, if this doesn't work for you, come back to that shape of your knee crossing over top, or you can even take a seated figure four and just flex into your left ankle. Okay. Wherever you are in any of these poses, you're welcome to stay upright or add in an arm variation, or you can also play with just hinging forward, folding over top of your thighs with either a flat back, or you can fold with a rounded spine. If you have really finicky knees and none of these poses work for you, bring yourself onto your back and take thread the needle with your left ankle crossed over your right thigh, and knees can come in towards your chest. Slow down the pace of your breath, not through force, but just by being present and noticing your breath. You feel the sensations in your body and be content with what is available in this pose. Notice if you have a tendency to push deeper, to try to go further within your yoga practice. And what are you actually missing out on when you do that? So if you were to ease back just ever so slightly in this shape, what would be more available to you? Would it be space or time, connection? Because it's all a balance. And when we start to look ahead, we give up what is available in the present moment. So as you just shift back into a little more mindfulness, notice what's there for you. If you have hinged forward, just gently start to unwind, walking your hands back up and towards your body. You lean over to your bottom hip so that your top hip will lift away. And then use your left hand to grab a hold of your left shin and just bring it back behind you. So you're coming into deer. So deer shape is kind of like a pinwheel shape or a half pinwheel of your legs, with your shins approximately parallel to the edges of the mat, the long and the short. But know that you can always take your knee in closer or further away. Lean back to the right side. So you're moving in the opposite direction of your back knee. Now you can lower onto a hand or a forearm. If you have a lot of space in the quads, some of you may lean all the way back into a reclined deer. But really you're just looking for that sensation into the front of your left hip. So I'm opening into your quadricep. You can always just allow your ear to rest down towards your shoulder. Soften into your upper body. Notice if you're starting to already look ahead to what's next. Can you bring it back to what's happening right now? And that there's still so much in this moment to look at, to observe, to enjoy. These longer holds are an opportunity to get a little bit closer to self. Less focused on destination. Gently walk yourself along the right side of your body to come out of this shape until you're facing the side of your mat again. Right? Use your left hand to scoop up your back knee and then straighten out your left leg so it points towards about the short edge of your mat. Turn and pivot your body so your shoulders and hips are square, heart facing towards your left knee. Inhale, breath, reach your fingertips all the way up. And then exhale, just start to hinge and fold. If you feel like you need some movement here, use your inhale breaths to lift your belly and heart away from your thigh, and exhales to fold and lower back down. Otherwise, just allow the really, really slow pace of lowering into this pose be dictated by gravity rather than your own force or your own doing. Head hangs heavy. Should feel this into your right hip. But at any point you're feeling pulling into your right knee, you can always take pillows underneath your bent knee. Walk your hands back up and towards your body, stacking shoulders over hips. Plant your right hand beside your right hip and lift up into a modified plank. Reach your left fingertips over to the short edge of your mat. And then gently you can release yourself back down to where you started. Scoop up your extended leg. Plant both feet out in front of you, nice and wide, and just wash your knees left. Okay. Whenever you are ready, start to straighten out your right leg this time. And you can scoop your left knee to cross over top of your right leg. Optional to stay here and play with hinging and folding with a flat back, or roll towards your left hip so your right hip lifts away, and then bend into your bottom knee. So knees are stacked, but there might be a space in between them. So that's okay. They don't have to be touching as long as there's no pulling. Always optional, come in to thread the needle on your back. So just start to explore the depth that's available for you in this shape this morning, whether that's hinging, folding, staying upright. Once you've landed there, can you invite your breath back into your present moment? Santosha is a really important concept, especially right now. And I think some of us have started to have that light bulb go off of how nourishing contentment can be. That there's a shift to a bit of a slower life, especially with what this year has brought us, is that maybe the go, go, go and the fast forwarding through life isn't serving us. And I really hope that as we move through this year and whatever is to come in next year, that we don't forget the lessons that we learned here. To slow down, that it's okay to not have to say yes to everything, and to just have some extra space for yourself. Slowly start to walk yourself back up if you've hinged or folded. Lean over onto your bottom hip again. You can use your right hand to scoop up your right knee and bring it off to the side. Deer shape, reclining. Take your left hand towards the back edge of your mat. You can just start to lean into your left hand or left forearm. Shoulders can square to the long edge, or you can start to roll your right shoulder to the ground. So just finding an opening into your back hip flexor and quad that feels good for your body. You soften through your shoulders, relax your jaw. Release any tension in your fingertips and just allow them to lightly curl in towards your palm. Gently walk yourself along the left edge of your mat. Final pose in seated. Scoop up your back knee and extend your right leg out long so the sole of your left foot comes to the inside of your right leg. Square your shoulders towards your extended leg. Inhale, breath, reach up. And then exhale, start to hinge and fold forward. Always that option to lift up with your inhales and lower with your exhales. Otherwise, you're welcome to just straight tuck your chin to your chest. Breathe all the way down towards your left hip. Notice if your left hip is lifting away from the ground, can you bring extra weight towards it and bring it closer down? Take one more breath exactly as you are. And then walk your hands up alongside your extended leg. Scoop up your knee, and this time turn yourself so that you're ready to roll down the length of your mat onto your back. You can just slowly start to lower hands onto your shins or hamstrings. Once you land down, it might feel nice just to take one final big stretch, reaching from fingertips to toes. And then exhaling, softening. If there is a final pose that you feel called to, you need to take your knees into your chest one more time, or you want to add in a twist to each side. I'll leave this final posture to each of you. So that might also look like shoulder stand or plow or happy baby again. We have about a minute or so before we drop into Shavasana, but know that if you want to come into Shavasana early, you're welcome to just take that extra minute to rest. As challenging as, well, really life that this year in particular has felt, there's always been some really beautiful moments. When the world is spinning really fast around us and it feels chaotic, there's always a moment of contentment to just breathe and step outside of that busyness and just watch. And notice how often people walk through life with their head down. How often we disconnect from each other and our environment. How often we look at where we're going and we're focused on the drive to get somewhere or being in a job to get into a higher position or career, that it's always more and more and more. For me, this year has been about less, and it's an incredible invitation to live. And that really is what Santosha is about. To live without the attachment to external possessions or status or labels, and to recognize that life is full all on its own. Sometimes we just have to slow down to appreciate that. And so I'll leave you here in Shavasana for just a couple of moments to be in that slow state of rest and maybe cultivate some gratitude for the incredible things that you already have in your life, and that you can still push forward and have goals and have vision, but that however those end up turning out doesn't change your level of gratitude or contentedness. If you'd like to close off Shavasana on your back, you are so welcome to, and just lay a little bit longer. And trust that whatever your body immediately feels like it wants, just take that. If you do feel like you're ready to start moving, you can just gently wiggle into fingertips and toes and bring yourself to seated. Over the next few breaths, there's no rush. When you do land and seated, those of you moving, just gather your hands at your heart center. Humble your chin to your chest. We close off this practice with the hand gesture of gratitude. The hands at heart center. It's a signal of holding space for ourselves and for others. And it's really a symbol of I see you. And so I see each of you. And I am so grateful that you have joined me. And I also see myself as you see yourself. And to just hold that connection a little bit closer and dearer, to give thanks for what is right here in this moment. From the bottom of my heart. Namaste. Have a beautiful rest of your day, weekend. I'll stay on to offer a journal prompt if you want to join. You can always go back as well to the end of practice. I do keep the journal prompts recorded, so if you're ever feeling really aligned to a topic, yeah, just head to the end of the class. And you can always do those at any point, but if you want to do them now, I'll stick around. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your day if you're leaving me now. Okay, so as always, I'll give you a couple of avenues that you can explore Santosha. So one is looking at currently, what are you dissatisfied with about your life? And be honest. This is, I think it's something that we often feel shame for, being dissatisfied about certain things when we actually look at it. But knowing that this is a natural part of human life, and we all have things that we wish would go better, or it's human nature for us to always want more and to look ahead. And so to just recognize that this is normal, but that perhaps the dissatisfaction is also robbing you of opportunity to find joy. So you can always kind of journal about the dissatisfaction when you wish things maybe even in the past have turned out different than you thought they would. If there's something that you're waiting for right now, that can be another really great journal prompt of if you're in that period of waiting and it maybe is something that you didn't expect to find, can you find a way to enjoy that really precious idle time? So, with COVID, I'm still waiting to go back to the studio, but I'm also really just enjoying the time to be here with everyone and to connect on a different level. And I think that is, that might actually be what I end up doing, and I don't end up going back to studios. And I think it's just a really wonderful time of exploration. So that can be another prompt. Or you can also just look at doing a gratitude journal. Take a moment to just sit with all the things that you're really grateful that you have in your life, and write them out, and just notice how much incredible stuff, people, places, things, experiences you have. And it can often shift the perspective when we're focusing on the one thing that isn't going right, to remember that more will always be going right than wrong at any given point in your life. And I promise you that there will always be more going right than going wrong. Okay. I'll let you journal on that for a second. Thank you for joining. And yeah, enjoy.